What's up, everybody? Alright, I've got another cool video for you. This one's on how I modify crankbaits to catch more fish. Let's switch screens and I'll explain. Now let's look at these two crankbaits. They're both in a sexy shad color. They're both made by Sixth Sense. One's a little bigger than the other, but they're primarily the same type of crankbait. Now at first glance, you'll notice I've removed the back hook. And the reason that I do that is because I fish the lily pads year-round. I live in Maryland, and right now it's wintertime, so there's no pads to speak of, but the stalks are still there, and the fish are still there. So I'm still fishing inside the lily pads. And I found that by removing that back hook, I don't get hung up on them near as often. The front hook is sort of guarded by the lip. As this thing is wobbling through the water, the hook sways a little bit side to side, but for the most part, it stays pinned under the belly. And this front bill, this lip, sort of acts as a blocker, like a moving pick in basketball. As it's going through the water, bumping the stalks, it's sort of clearing a path for the hook, so you don't get hung up very often. Now, speaking of the lip, that lip was a little bit longer than the lip on the other lure. But I only want to go to around 2 to 3 feet, because that's the depth of the ponds that I'm fishing in. And this thing was set at like 8, 10, 12, 15 feet, depending on how fast you retrieved it, which was not working for me, but I wanted a bigger bait, bigger fish. A lot of people say downsize in the winter. I don't agree with that. I think that if you have the right presentation on a bigger bait, the fish is going to make the effort because he has to hunt less if he can get a bigger meal in one bite. So that's my theory. And I took it yesterday and I proved it to work. I caught a 4 1/4 pound bass on a 38-degree day on my first cast over a bluegill bed. Okay, so I took this out to my grinding wheel and I ground it down. And originally the factory had a squared bill across here. I rounded my corners. I like a rounded corner better because it glances off of rocks and laydowns and things like that a little bit better. Now, the other thing that I did, if you look at this other one, it's got an extra split ring, or actually a split ring, not an extra one. But I have found that it's very difficult to get a snap swivel through there. All right, now let's talk about snap swivels. I don't use a snap swivel on everything. But in the wintertime, like right now, I'm fishing in a pickerel tournament. That is a toothy critter. So they just barely glance your line and they're going to cut it. So I use a 3-inch steel leader, which has a snap swivel on it. And I found that you have to hold this still. It wants to flop all around on you. And it's very difficult to thread that snap swivel through there, especially with my eyesight. So by taking it off, you end up with a fixed eyelet that doesn't move. And I can thread that snap swivel through there pretty quick. So it's a lot less trouble. But anyway, these are the modifications that I make to most of my crankbaits. And they seem to be working. So a lot of people will disagree. But I believe in the wintertime, you don't have to downsize your bait as long as you present it properly. Because it's all in the presentation. So that's my spin on things. And if you like this video, smash that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button to get your notification every time I put out a new video. Well, that's the end of this one. So thanks for watching another episode of the Scoochie Moffit Show. Modified crankbaits, baby. GoPro, start recording. That bass right there. Wow. Let's see what he measures up to.
GoPro stop.